This tutorial shows you how to make a publication-ready phylogeny that you can customize. This tutorial assumes you are using Ubuntu Linux version 20.04 as your operating system. If you do not have Linux, you can emulate it on your Windows or Mac computer for free. See the show notes for details. In fact, I am emulating Linux right now on my Mac computer using VirtualBox. I have a VirtualBox virtual machine pre-configured with the software I will show you today, as well as other population genetics and ecological niche modeling software. See the show notes below for step-by-step instructions to download and hook up this virtual machine within your Windows or Mac computer. This tutorial assumes you have RStudio and Inkscape installed on your machine. It also assumes you have the R package phylotools installed, which is surprisingly tricky. I have a separate tutorial just for installing phylotools within RStudio in the notes below. Or you can just use the pre-configured virtual machine I referenced earlier. To begin, open up an internet browser and navigate to my website, joshbanta.com. Then select the tab for tutorials. Within the genomics section, scroll down until you see how to make a publication-ready phylogeny figure using R and Inkscape. Make sure you look at the one that says Advanced. Click Files Needed for Tutorial. Click the Download button and select Direct Download. Once it's finished downloading, you can close your browser window. Open up a File Explorer window. Navigate to your Downloads folder. Double-click on the file that we just downloaded. With both of these windows open, come back to File Explorer. Navigate to your Documents folder. From the drop-down menu, select New Folder. Let's name the new folder R and click Create. Double-click on the new folder you created. Come back to the other folder within Archive Manager and click on the first of the two files that you see I clicked on. Hit the Shift button. While holding on the Shift button, click the second file. With both of these selected, drag them into the R folder within our Documents folder. Now you can close Archive Manager. Next, we need to open RStudio, which you can do by clicking on Show Applications and doing a search for RStudio on your machine. Or if you're using my pre-configured VirtualBox, you'll see RStudio on the side. Click File, Open File. Go to your Documents folder, go to your R folder, and select the file Pro Tree Plotting Stuff, July 15th, 2020.r, and then click Open. This opens up our R script. The first thing you have to do is set your working directory. Click Session, Set Working Directory. We can set the working directory to our source file location. This tutorial assumes you already have the packages CTV, ape, and phylotools installed within RStudio. If you do not, you will want to run each of these lines of code separately but without the hash mark. We will start on line 8. Highlight the first 3 lines of code to load the library CTV, ape, and phylotools. Next, we're going to read in our phylogenetic tree. Highlight line 12 and click Run. If our tree was rooted, we would use this line of code without the hash mark and click Run. But you would need to specify which individual within your tree is the root. So you would need to replace this line here, this piece of this line here, with the actual name of your root. Since we do not have a tree, a rooted tree, we will just run this line instead. Next, I should mention that this code is based upon the output from Mr. Bezier that was converted into Newick tree format. We will take our node support labels and round them to the nearest whole number. Highlight line 18 and click Run. Next, we will remove all node support values less than 70. Highlight that line of code, line 21, and click Run. Next, we will replace the new bootstrap labels that we made, where we rounded the numbers and we got rid of all values less than 70. We need to replace those node labels in the R object. So highlight line 28 and click Run. Next, we need to run some of these lines with hashed out code. You only need to do this occasionally, so you can keep it hashed out most of the time. Highlight line 32 without the hash mark and click Run. Next, highlight line 34 without the hash mark and click Run. Now we will take a break from RStudio and we will go back to our File Explorer. Double-click the file that says tipnames.csv. Keep everything as it is and click OK. In this file, if you wanted to change the names of your individuals as they appear on the phylogeny, you would write them here in column B. Do not erase the names that are in column A. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'll just keep the names the same. I just did a copy and paste from everything that was in here to keep the names the same. But if you wanted to rename your samples, your individuals, you would put those new names in column B. When finished, hit File, Save, and click Use Text CSV Format. And then you can close LibreOffice. Next, we will run line 39. Highlight it and run it. Then line 42. Then lines 45 and 46. There are many different ways to visualize the results. You can try running these different lines of code in here to get different ways of visualizing the results. I prefer to plot the results as a phylogram with proportional branch lengths. So I am going to run line 63. Highlight it and run it. Uh-oh, look at how messy it is. This phylogeny has so many individuals that you can't see the individuals on the phylogeny. To get around this problem, we are going to take out the names of the individuals from this phylogeny for now. To do that, go back to File Explorer, double-click on tipnames.csv once again. Click OK. Instead, what I'm going to put in column B is for every one of these entries, I'm just going to have a single space. So this column B just has a single space in it. And I'm just going to drag that all the way down. Now every single one of these columns has a space in it. Be sure to click File, Save, Use Text CSV Format, and then you can close LibreOffice again. Now we'll go back to line 39, and we will run lines 39 through 46 again. Now we will plot the phylogram with proportional branch lengths once again. Highlight line 63 and run it. There. We're going to add in whatever labels we want later on using Inkscape. But we need to put the bootstrap support values at the nodes. To do that, we're going to run this line of code here. And this adjustment factor allows you to adjust the exact placement of the bootstrap support values. So if you find that they're a little too low, a little too far to the right, you can play around with these two numbers here to adjust where those bootstrap support values appear. Highlight line 67 and click Run. Well, that's pretty messy too. For other phylogenies that you're doing with your own data, they might be simple enough that this would work just fine. But for here, you can see that there's too many node support labels. Another thing that you can do in a situation like this is to turn all of these node support labels into asterisks. Asterisk indicating that the node is significant. Let's go ahead and try that. Run line 24 without the hash mark and highlight line 24 without the hash mark and then click Run. Then highlight line 25 and click Run. Make sure that that was without the hash mark. Then highlight line 26 also without the hash mark and click Run. Now line 28. Click Run. Now we can try again with our tree. Skip ahead to line 63. Highlight and click Run. Now we'll add the new node support labels where the node supports, if greater than 70, are indicated with asterisks. That's still a lot of asterisks, and some of these branches are quite shallow, so it's pretty confusing to look at this with all of those asterisks. Therefore, we're going to clean all of this up in Inkscape. For now, we're not going to print the asterisks or any kind of node support labels or any sort of labels for the individuals. We're just going to print the bare bones phylogeny because there's too many different individuals on this phylogeny to show everything all at once. So let's go back to line 63 and reprint our phylogeny. Highlight it and click Run. Don't run line 67. Skip ahead to line 74 to add a scale bar. Highlight it and click Run. Notice that nothing's happened. It says click where you want to draw the bar. Pick an empty space on your graph, and there you'll find that a scale bar appears. Now we're going to export our image. From the drop-down menu that says Export, click Save as PDF. Don't use Save as Image because the image will not be high enough resolution. You can choose any name that you like. Make sure that it's saving it in the directory where you want it. Putting it in the R directory within our Documents folder is fine. I'm just going to keep the name as rplot, but you can change that name to whatever you like. Click Save. Now we can clean up our graph and add other flourishes using another program. Close out of RStudio. When it asks you if you want to save the workspace image, you can simply click Don't Save. We're going to open a drawing program called Inkscape, which you can find by searching your computer for Inkscape, or if you're using my pre-configured machine, you'll already have it on the left. Click File, Open. Navigate to the R folder within Documents where we saved the file. Just in case you're having trouble finding it, click on Documents, click on your R folder, and select the rplot.pdf that we just made in RStudio and click Open. I think all the defaults are fine, so click OK. There are all sorts of drawing tools available to you here, depending upon how you want to customize your phylogeny or what sorts of labels you want to draw in there. The way that you zoom in is you click on View, Zoom, Zoom in, or you can hit the plus button to zoom in. Each one of these tips represents a separate individual. So I think that there's too many individuals here to write in a name for each one. That would make it a pretty crowded figure to use in a publication. Instead, what I will do is highlight each group with a different colored line. But there's a myriad of other different ways you could do this. You could make colored boxes that are somewhat transparent that you put over the different groups, or something like that. Click the button here for drawing Bezier curves and straight lines. Let's go ahead and draw a line. So I'm going to indicate this clade here as being a particular group of individuals. Maybe these were all specimens that were collected that were the same species, or some other way that I want to indicate it. So I clicked where I wanted it to start, I clicked where I wanted it to end, and now I've got this annoying line dragging around. To get rid of it, simply hit Enter. Now we're going to customize this line. To do that, right-click on the line and select Fill and Stroke. If you don't have right-click because you're on a Mac, it would be Control-click on the line, and then regular-click for Fill and Stroke. Click the tab that says Stroke Paint. This is where you can choose the color that you want the line to be. I'm going to keep it simple and just make the line red. So I'm going to drag the red all the way up to 255. If you want to use a different color, you would use different amounts of red, green, and blue. You can Google the name of the color that you want to use and RGB, and it will give you the 3 digits to put in here, one in each one of these cells, to get you to the color that you would prefer. Next, let's change the thickness of the line. Instead of it being 1, what happens if we make it 2? I'm going to hit enter. That looks good to me. Now I'm going to go ahead and close it. Now I want to add a text label indicating what this group is. To do so, click on Create and Edit Text Objects. Then, click somewhere on the screen. We're going to move the text object around so it's not vital where you click. Call the group blah blah. This is obviously too large. We're going to work on that. To do so, highlight all of your text. This is the font information up at the top. We're going to select a smaller font size. I'm going to select a font size of, let's see, 12. 12 looks good. You could also change the color of the font if you would like. To do so, with the font highlighted, right-click on it and select Fill and Stroke, or come up here to Object and select Fill and Stroke. Then you would click on the Fill tab, and you would choose the RGB color scheme corresponding to the color that you would like. I'm going to go full on red again, like so. Next, we're going to rotate this text and move it into position. To do so, we're going to use the arrow selector up here. Make sure that our text is highlighted. And you'll see these buttons here. These are buttons for rotating the text. So we're going to rotate it until we have it in the orientation that we like. I like it like this. Now we can move the text into position. And there you go. Once you have your phylogeny edited the way that you like, it's time to export it as a publication-ready figure. Go to File, Export PNG Image. Click the tab that says Page. We can always clip it to size later. Set the resolution to 600 dots per inch. You may have it say something like 96. Set it to 600. And then move the cursor somewhere else. And you'll find that this one changes too. So for instance, if I had changed this to 96, and I moved up here, the other one would change to 96. But we want this as 600. We want to keep this high resolution. I was just clicking up in here to make this populate with 600 as well, because these two should match. Change the name to whatever you like. We need to change the location that the file will be saved. So we're going to click the Export As button, go to Documents. We're going to stick it in our R folder. And we will call this Publication Ready Figure .png. PNG is an image file. Click Save. But we're not done yet. Now we have to click Export. Let's save our project within Inkscape in case we want to come back and make more changes to our image. Go to File, Save As, and that's fine. Let's just keep using our R folder. We will call this Inkscape Edited Figure.svg. There's other file types you can use as well, but I think SVG is just fine. Click Save. Now we can exit out of Inkscape. Let's take a look at our publication-ready figure. Double-click on it. And this is image viewing software. Let's zoom in and make sure that everything is still nice and high resolution. I'm going to go to 200%. I'll make this bigger. And now we can look around the file and see how it is. Everything is still nice and high resolution. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and close it now. So here is our publication ready figure.